Here's a song in the voice of Robert Louis Stevenson. I wrote it after reading an article in our local paper, the Jungle Journal. Yes, isn't that a great title? Alan Henry told of Stevenson in Wick when his father was here in 1867, the father to build a breakwater at the harbour. He'd brought Robert with him as a trainee engineer to prepare him for a proper profession instead of this dreaming and stories and writing poetry. Both Robert and his father thought Wick a dismal kind of place, but Robert did like the folk. He fell in with some of our travelling people, Geordie McPhee and Peggy Sue. They lived in a cove on the bay. For local folk, we think it would be the one between the old Coast Guard station and the Trinky. Robert spent many an evening there, away off into the wee small hours, listening to their stories and ancient tales. Now, Robert was already a fine writer, but I have not the least doubt that these sessions with Geordie and Peggy really lifted his ability as a teller and a writer of stories. Here is the Midnight Cove, as I said, in the voice of Robert Louis Stevenson. Out below the Braehead, far beyond the quay, a roaring chasm in a cliff chiselled by the sea, warm with human kindness, welcome with a yarn, with Geordie and with Peggy and a drammy. Heartened by the whisky, Geordie, like a bear, growled his loud approval that I had ventured there, pressed into my frozen hand a gillful in a tin. A brandy served in crystal was no sweeter. Tales and fine carousing, with faces warmed by fire, sea forever roaring at the door that was no there. Geordie told of poaching, Peggy sang of sprees, a soiree in a palace was no finer. Peggy danced a hornpipe from a matelot, rescued from a sinking ship 20 years ago. Geordie cheered a wild hurrah, slapped my back in glee. No king all in a castle could be prouder. I tried a yarn of smugglers, I mean, that's the way. Peggy puffed her old clay pipe and still my tale held sway. She said, "You have the cognac, man, you have the knack. You'll tell another tale another morrow." The moon on her horizon lit that rocky hall, till past the hour of midnight oft I made that call. We sailed the seas in story, high adventure won, and leaving Peg a sixpence to buy whisky. We sailed the seas in story, high adventure won, and leaving Peg a sixpence to buy whisky.